Welcome to this week's edition of the MLB Hot Topic. Scott Miller joins me from Chavez Ravine out in LA. Let's talk some National League baseball, Scott. It looked like the Mets were far and away the best team in the National League for the first couple of months, but then June arrived and the Mets suddenly started doing a Kansas City Royals impersonation. What's up with Willie Randolph's club?
Well, Amber, that's a great question. A lot of people are wondering what's wrong with the New York Mets. Since June 1st, things have gotten ugly. They've lost 9 of 11 games in June heading into Wednesday night's series finale out in Dodger Stadium. A lot of things have been going on. Their pitching's fallen off the table. They have not had a starter other than Jorge Sosa win a game since May 31st. That's one thing. The bullpen has gotten shaky. That's another thing. Billy Wagner's fine as the closer, but it's the guys trying to get the game to him. Aaron Heilman has not been pitching well. Rookie Joe Smith has come back down to earth. He had been sensational in April and much of May, but he's lately been hit. And also, they've had a problem offensively, which people have never dreamed of. But Carlos Delgado, until he got a base hit the other night in Los Angeles, he went through a stretch where he was 0 for 16 with runners in scoring position. Now, they've had the difficulty with situational hitting, and also Moises Alou out with a quad strain. That absence has not helped either. And Alou, from what I'm told, that absence is going to be a long one, not just a 15-day DL and out. So whether he's back in a month, I think if he is back in a month, I think the Mets are going to be awfully lucky. It could be longer than that. That's my understanding.
Okay, Scott, and the Mets were in Los Angeles this week in a rematch of one of last October's NL Divisional Series, and Dodgers manager Grady Little has been making an awful lot of changes in his lineup. Is this a temporary thing, or should we expect more of the same for the rest of the summer?
Well, I think what we're seeing from the Dodgers right now, Amber, as they try to stay in that National League West race, and so far they're doing a good job of it. We are going to see lineup changes throughout the rest of the summer. I think we have to. I think manager Grady Little has to, because they're key guys like Nomar Garciaparra and Jeff Kent are older, and we've seen last year they land on the disabled list. Also, even if they stay in the lineup, they get worn down by August. And so I think for the good of the Dodgers, Grady Little is going to keep things fresh. He just sat Nomar Garciaparra for 2 games in a row. Garciaparra at first base has just 1 home run this season after tying for the team lead with 20 a year ago. He's got just 1 homer now and a .335 slugging percentage. Both of those numbers are the low for a first baseman in the National League. Now, conversely, he's hitting .426 with runners in scoring position, so he's producing. He's just not producing for power. From first base, you need some power. They have James Loney that they've recently called up. I think we're going to see him in the lineup frequently. And also at second base, a rookie, a kid named Tony Abreu, has been playing third base. Look for him to get shifted over to second base when Grady Little goes to give Jeff Kent some days off. Abreu's better position is second base or even shortstop. He's a middle infielder rather than a third baseman. When he plays third, it's more of a stopgap. Other than that, I think we're going to see Kent and Garciaparra rest from time to time the rest of the summer. I think for the Dodgers' own good, if they're going to figure out a way to win the division, that's what's going to have to happen.
Well, the Dodgers aren't the only team looking for a big bat. Who's looking, Scott? Who's going to be available between now and July 31st?
The Dodgers already have kick-started their search for a big bat for the middle of the lineup until they stunningly hit 3 home runs in 3 consecutive pitches on Tuesday night against the New York Mets. Till that moment, the Dodgers ranked 29th of 30 major league teams in home runs. So, general manager Ned Colletti already has started his search for a bat. And the Dodgers aren't the only contender that's short offensively. San Diego could use another bat. The Los Angeles Angels have spent the summer so far saying they need another bat. St. Louis can use one. Minnesota can use one. We're going to see between now and July 31st, things are going to heat up. Now, who's available? Well, it's early yet, before the trade deadline. But the Dodgers have already been linked with Cincinnati's Adam Dunn and with Jermaine Dye of the Chicago White Sox. Those are a couple names that could go. Now, the Cincinnati, even in a weak National League Central, just can't get it going so far. And they could trade Adam Dunn and maybe even Ken Griffey Jr. Griffey is at the end of his career, last few years. He's got a total no-trade clause. It's important to remember that. But there are signs and indications around Cincinnati that he might welcome a trade to a contender, maybe play in October at least one more time if possible before Father Time catches up and shoves him out of the game. So Cincinnati, unless they get back into it, Dunn, Griffey, Colorado would love to trade Todd Helton, the first baseman, but they also tried over the winter unsuccessfully. Helton has a no-trade clause as well, but he's owed a lot of money. Helton is owed $80 million through 2011, and there aren't a lot of teams that can take that on. Chicago White Sox, Jermaine Dye, if the White Sox don't get in the race, Dye's a free agent after this season, and you can envision Kenny Williams, the general manager of the White Sox, the aggressive GM, moving him. Some other bats that could be available, Jock Jones of the Chicago Cubs. He's a lefty bat, and the Cubs have off and on considered trading him. We'll see what happens with them the rest of the way. And, Tampa Bay is another one. They've got a glut of outfielders. I think they need to trade one for a pitcher, maybe Elijah Dukes, possibly Rocco Baldelli. Eventually, they've got to get some starting pitching in Tampa Bay. Now, Dukes, with all the problems going on his domestic front, he's got a lot of baggage. I don't know how many teams will want to take him on. But for now, that's who might become available between now and July 31st. That's who's being talked about on the general manager grapevine.
All right, Scott, thanks as always. And of course, we look forward to hearing from you again next week. That'll do it for MLB Hot Topic. For Scott Miller, I'm Amber Wilson. Thanks for watching.